Call the, what is today, the February 21st meeting, 2018 of the Downtown Development Authority. This time I'd like to open up public comment. Please come up when you're recognized by me, the chair. You'll be allotted 5 minutes. Please give us your name and address as well. Anybody out there for public comment? In the front row.
Ron Wolf, 333 North Troy Street. As you know, you have quite a sizable area here for the downtown Central Park. There's only one thing I'm not clear on. I do believe at one time the Bogie Group said that some of the underground wiring and plumbing would be covered by the city. I'm not sure about that. But I like the idea of the $5 million being applied. And what I have here is a rendering I made that I'll submit to the committee. And as I said, I lived in New York, Washington, went to NYU, and I had always admired Washington Square. I have some pictures of Washington Square and some LED lit fountains that I put around. There's no other fountain in as far as I know, in southeastern Michigan that's lit by LEDs, so Arlo can really benefit. And I believe also the Star Dream, the light posts, can be equipped with LED spots that can light up and enhance the sculpture. And as I said, this fountain could be a focus point for musicians, students, families that are relaxing, watching other people. People watching is a favorite occupation of people. That's why a lot of people come to Royal Oak. They enjoy watching the people walk around as much as they enjoy watching the birds and the squirrels. Now, on here, what I've drawn is on the top right. I picture a two-story parking structure that would have, on the top would have a mural featuring fruit and vegetables, and underneath the sign on the second level saying farmers market, or the other way around. But either way, it will be an eye catcher. During the week, it could be used by the city hall that is proposed to go behind it. And you shouldn't have any argument from the farmers market people on it, because it will only be 2 levels, and in an emergency, it can be used. Now, on the top, on the Troy side, you have a path going around the park that is joining the sidewalk. This really makes a double-wide sidewalk, which would facilitate food trucks, tents for art shows, and coming along down 3rd here also, it would be a whole nice walk around the park. And as I said, this could be the jewel of Royal Oak that brings people to the city. I also included a couple of fiberglass dinosaurs. While watching Under the Radar, I happened to notice a park that had these fiberglass dinosaurs, and people actually drive miles out of their way to show their kids these dinosaurs. They're about $2,000 or $3,000 a piece. Not cheap, but not that expensive, and I think it also could make a terrific little attraction. So I wish you would consider. Now, the only other thing I'm thinking about, which I know is going to run into some opposition. Some people would like an amphitheater, but I believe the library makes an excellent amphitheater, and to make it an even larger amphitheater, and it would probably cost half the price of a new amphitheater to do it, is to move the memorial back about 40 feet. And that would give people ample room to sit down. It wouldn't disrespect the memorial. And as far as naming the park, I would suggest to make everybody happy, call it Royal Oak Memorial Park. And again, you don't have to do everything all at once. I would like to see you do the infrastructure, put in the piping for the fountain first. The fountain could come in 5-10 years from now. I could care less. But eventually, you'll have something that will make the city a jewel. And this is all I'm saying. If you just wanted to say that people are complaining that all the parks are boring, I guarantee you, when the millennials and the youngsters see this new park and they bring their acoustic guitars, and the buskers having a good time, and it takes them off the streets too, this will be a wonderful attraction and will really bring Royal Oak downtown back to life. What I envision in Royal Oak is making this city an outdoor fresh air mall that has a diversity of businesses and attractions that will attract families. And all those closings of Main Street will be unnecessary because in this park, in combination with the farmer's market and the library, you will have a civic center you can be proud of. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wall.
I don't know if could I leave this?
Sure, you can leave it. I tell you what, why don't you put it down, because it'll be hard to see the smaller people that might be talking today.
This?
Not in front of that, put it more to this, just lay it on the side. All right, thank you. Anybody else for public comment?
Hello, I'm Sean Dare with the Ancient Order of Hibernians, St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee Chairman. I just wanted to remind everybody that the parade is going to be March 10th, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Down Washington Avenue, starting at the middle school and progressing south down to 7th Street. Thank you to the DDA and the city for helping spread the word. As always, we, we're open for any donations to the, to cover parade costs associated with the city and whatnot, so you would consider a donation this year.
Okay.
Okay.
I think, Tim, I think right now we do a $2,000.
You budget $2,000 a year for the last several years. Basically what occurs with it when city services are submitted for cost recovery, I get a copy of them. And do a transfer to write whatever those are down by $2,000.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
very good.
And on this, maybe Don, you can answer this maybe, on the budget here that Sean's provided. I know the top three are city expenses. Is the parking meters, I assume, is also a
Yeah.
city expense a little bit further down?
Didn't we go early enough this year that that's not gonna be a factor?
Well, it's not fully. It did reduce the time, but there is still going to occur some cost.
Okay. So that's your estimate of what it would be?
Correct, that's
Okay.
our estimate based on our figures from last year.
Okay, thank you, Sean.
In this regard, we got a fundraiser for the parade running on the city website. It's a T-shirt that Judy designed.
Oh, I saw that.
It's so far raised almost $800 for it.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Very good. So we do indeed give $2,000, so.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else for public comment? Mr. Colo?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Brandon Colo, 600 East Hudson Avenue here in Royal Oak. I'm here as a library board trustee tonight. We just like to come out, keep you guys apprised of what's going on. We just had our annual report come out. This last year, we increased foot traffic to the library by 7%. To put that in numbers, that's 370,000 people that walked in and out of our library this year and right back into our downtown. So we're really excited to be part of the DDA and to help continue to bring more people into the downtown. This year, we also increased our online offerings by adding 600,000 new online titles to our collection. We're growing exponentially. It's a new form of media that everyone wants, and we continue to expand that. We also continue to expand our classic book collection. We're a library. We're never going to get rid of those books. So we allocate more and more money every year to make sure we keep our collection up to date. With that being said, the Friends of the Royal Oak Public Library has their annual book sale coming up. That's March 8th through 11th. You'll notice that the 11th is a Sunday, and this is the first year they can host that book sale on a Sunday because we're now open on Sundays for the first time in the 110-year history of the library. So please come down. The Friends host all the programming that goes on at the library. It's about $40,000 a year, and this is their major funding drive. They pay for all the children activities and outreach activities that we do. We're very grateful to them. So we hope that you come out. The community has always been great to us here in Royal Oak, and we love being part of the DDA. You guys have some really nice new wayfinding signs, and we understand ours is coming up, and we can't wait to help to see that go in. So
Very good.
with that, I'll leave some flyers around if you guys want to see, and if the public wants some.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Anybody else for public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back to the table here. Item number 3, the approval of the meeting minutes from our regular meeting on January 17th, our special meeting on January 31st, and then a revised minutes from November 15th, 2017. These can,
Just for clarity on the revised minutes, there was a portion that was left out of the minutes that was approved, but there was an action taken. I highlighted it in red. You'll see a invoice that didn't make it into the minutes, but looking back at the tape, the motion did occur, so.
and we can take all 3 of these as a single motion if so desired.
All 3 of the meetings?
Yeah.
Minutes?
Yeah.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Director Briley,
Second.
seconded by Director London. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
There's 2 other items that I passed out today that if the board would like to add them to the agenda. The first one is in regards to the wayfinding directional signs. It's been an ongoing topic of discussion, both at the board and with staff and with others in terms of how to deal with the directional signs, the wayfinding program. Mr. Johnson is here from Johnson Signs. If you have questions of what they've mocked up, attempted to do. Back in December, the DDA did approve a concept that had retrofitted the pole design of the directional signs, because you'll remember seeing when they did a wind test, it waffled in the wind, and the initial sign, or the initial pole retrofit, went all the way up to the base of the, what I'll call the blades that stick out. Having looked at a mock-up of that, the board wanted to explore other alternatives. We've been exploring other alternatives, and the only one that seems to have got some support would be a base that went up about 4 feet, 8 inches as a revised design. We're running down to the end of the installation of all the other signs. Probably, I think there's probably the parking lot signs that still have to go in. So I was hoping to bring this to a resolution, if we could, so that the contractor could keep moving from what they've been doing right into these. So 2 things: if you already have approved the mock-up, that the design that went all the way up to the bottom of the base, and I included that portion of the minutes. If you want to modify that to the 4-foot 8-inch one, I'd suggest you revoke the prior approval and then make a motion to approve the 4-foot 8-inch version. What I would indicate is, based on the information received, there's some additional cost. You'll see in the minutes that that design was about $12,400 for the 40 signs that were going to go in. Obviously, those wouldn't go in that fashion, but there still would be 40 signs. You should have a copy of the email in there, and the cost did go up because of the redesign, going from 6 inches to an 8-inch base. And then to redo the 2 that were already done. So you'll see that 40 signs would then be $17,800. Plus, you would be paying for the steel prototypes that were mocked up rather than the original sign type. So that's another $950. So I throw it out there again, that the hope is to bring this to some resolution. And again, both James and is here from,
Well, why don't we,
who's been running the project on the DDA's behalf, and Mr. Johnson is here is from Sign.
Let's talk to you.
So just like in a nutshell, originally we had, so this drawing here, which is on the back of this, which went all the way up, that's a 6-inch tube, correct? And that was going all the way up, and that was gonna be 12.4.
And two of them are installed in the city.
Correct. And now what we're doing is, this is a thicker but shorter shaft, if you will. And to do all that is gonna be 17.8, so it's an additional 5,400 to go from the 6-inch to 8-inch.
And redo the two poles completely.
And redo the two poles. I don't see where the 900 is in here somewhere, but I'll take Tim's word for that.
Yeah,
That's on top of the 17.8?
it's to replace the
Okay.
prototypes, or the
Okay.
cost of the prototypes.
Okay, so this is the modification, that's the, okay, I got it. Question I would ask, up here, had infrastructure seen the shorter pole yet? No.
Yeah, well, the shorter pole's been around, it's
Yeah.
been passed around, there were several now. I think James has been coordinating a variety of options, so, and none of those tests seem to be doing any better, other than the shorter pole seemed to work as well as the taller one.
Did anybody on the board see it aesthetically? I guess is my question, I'm just wondering.
The shorter pole mock-up is going to be very similar to the one that you see at Fourth and Troy right now. Because that one's, the difference in the height from the bottom of the blade to the base is kind of a little more similar there than
And
say
is
at
the
Main
one
Street.
for the trays, it got the 6-inch tubing or the 8-inch tubing?
That one still has a 6-inch tubing.
Okay, so it's a bigger tubing.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember, like, when we brought this up before, there was, and I know, and I can't remember what Jason's thing was.
You didn't like the two different,
Yeah, you know, like the two different thicknesses. Now, this thicker base, does that vary depending on how many blades we have coming on?
Right now, we've got it designed so everything would be consistent off the ground.
Okay, all right, which is good.
So irregardless of how many blades there are, the bottom tubing will be the same height on all of them.
And I think there's a drawing there, is there not, that shows all of them, or I've got it here, I think there was at one time.
Like this, on the backside?
Yes, that
Yeah.
shows all the different blades with them all being consistent in height.
Oh, yeah, there you go, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
So I guess my only question is it, you know, I mean, I don't wanna delay this thing any longer than it has to, but if, I mean, no, but do you think it's something that we wanna see before we commit to cutting it loose?
I'll leave
We
that.
wasn't there some discussion about, so are the prototypes that you've made up, are they up somewhere? Was that what we're talking about, Fourth and Troy?
Yeah, but not with the 8-inch tubing.
8-inch tubing. The prototypes were the ones originally with the 6-inch tubing that were installed at Fourth and Troy and Sixth and Main.
And the one at Fourth and Troy, was it originally installed like this, all the way to the blades? Or was it just happened to be it only had two blades, so this was lower?
Yeah, because it didn't have as many blades, it gave the look of a base and then the post.
Okay, and I hate to ask all these questions, but is it, the same length, is it the 4'8" like this, or it's a little taller? But it just gives you the two different, and another question I have is that the base of the sign down here, that's the same as here, it's just drawn differently?
That's a picture of an existing one. The only thing that we did is we added bolt heads, because at one time you wanted to see that.
Right.
So we just edited that photo and added the bolt heads to see it, but that's the actual sign other than the bolt heads on the 6-inch square.
And is this 4'8" here?
No, that's pretty close to 6 foot. The two mock-ups we got are 6 foot tall.
But,
The 6-inch square was 6 foot tall, those are the two we got installed. That was our first original concept.
And the one.
The original concept.
Yes.
But what you're proposing here is to go with a standard 4'8".
Yes, because you guys wanted to see it a little bit lower, that looks good. And it's a little bit of a bigger base, so the angle now is centered in the tubing and it's not offset.
You say a little bit of a bigger base down here is a bigger base, or this is a bigger
Yes,
base?
sir,
You're going to
that's
an
big.
8 inch as opposed to a 6 inch? Okay.
If you look at the photo here compared to the print, you can see it's gonna be a touch wider. It's gonna give it more of a base look.
Have you mocked one of these up yet?
Not out in the field, no. I've got some pictures where we did one, just put a cover so you could see it.
Do we know for sure that this proposal meets the rigidity requirements?
Yes. Problem we get with that angle, the bigger the space we get, the more action. I think that the signs are gonna be safe, they're not gonna come down, it's just a lot of movement.
It looks better.
And you get in a windstorm and, you know, they'll move that much back and forth.
Yeah.
So the more farther up we go, you know, the less movement. So this will eliminate a good chunk. This is about a foot shorter than the existing ones. Well, it's about 16 inches.
The existing ones, this was running close to 6 foot. you
Yes,
said,
sir.
And now we're going to 4'8". And I'm sorry, and you said it, and I apologize. Are we going with the bolts here or no? Like, down on the columns down here, will we have the bolts or just shear?
We haven't got any real direction from you until we sent that photo before, saying here's an option if we kept it. So that's kind of aesthetically a little bit up to you guys.
Okay.
If you
And then
want
I
to
guess-
Will the bolts be functional or just aesthetic?
just
Aesthetic, and I guess, okay, I guess just kind of multiple questions here now, because you've got, so here you've got, if we go with this, you've got 4'8", and then this, bolts are definitely up here. Would you run the bolts on the narrow channel until you got to the thick tubing, or?
What we can do, what you
I'm just
like, I
asking.
would go down, and one of the reasons, because we've got those 80 angles already cut holes in it and painted. So right now, we already have the holes in them all.
So we're definitely talking bolts from the top down
Yes.
to at least here. Okay, and I
And
think
then that
that
also
makes
gives you
sense.
guys consistency if you ever want to add panels. You may have a 3-panel now that you might want to change to a 4 or 5-panel sign, in case there's any other thing, so it keeps it all,
Yeah.
they're all designed to have 6 panels.
We have to meet on Saturday.
What was the advantage to make it shorter?
The tubing, the base,
Yeah.
I think it came from the board for appearance. Thinking
But
if
how
they
about functionality as a person driving and it's low to, cars parked in front of it?
The heights of the actual message has not changed. It's just the structure of the tubing on the bottom to help eliminate the movement. So we haven't changed any of the visibility of the,
So it's same height, you're getting more of the thinner tube and then less of the thicker tube?
yes.
Okay, but same height.
Kind of makes it look more like a base that these angles are sticking out of instead of
Yeah.
the tubing. That's what they were kind of wanted to make it look a little bit bolder with the base.
Dr. Sophia?
Just, yeah, I want to move this along here too, but I just have a couple questions, I guess. One, we're at the point right now, James, probably where we really don't have a plan B. This is where we are,
Yeah.
pretty much. Is that fair to
At
say?
this point, we've tried Plan B, Plan C. You know, Plan B was to try a steel post in the original construction.
Right.
That didn't work. We tried, I think we had a couple other ideas that just, it wasn't
Okay,
functional.
I think the only other idea that we could come up with if we wanted to is scrap the angle for the pole on this particular type sign. So what we tried to do to maintain it to look like the rest of the signs, we tried to keep as much as we could, but yet still keep it stable enough.
okay.
So that was where we kept going.
The testing that was done with this new style was done in your shops, or have we seen them in the field?
We haven't seen them in the field.
So,
The steel one they tested inside the shop and had similar results as we had a few months ago with the originals.
Okay, I guess my last question, I guess, would be for Tim. Tim, do we have the, the ability to move forward and approve this under the, but yet be able to install whatever set number of these and see if they're actually what we want? And then, am I making myself clear here, or?
No.
Are we green lighting every one of these right now?
Well, it's totally up to you. It's been in discussion for, I think, a couple of months now, because I know it's come back to the board. I know that, and Jason's not here today, I know he's had quite a bit of input on various options. I think the lowering of the base, or the lowering from 6 feet to 4.8 was one of his suggestions to make it look like a base. We've turned the base. I've seen designs where it's a diamond type setting. We've looked at different pole entirely, and I think that was thrown out because all of the other signs have this same pole structure, and we didn't want to go away from that. So we're working with a design. If you look at all the other parking lot signs, the kiosk signs, every other sign that's being installed has the same pole structure other than the base. The difference being most of them have 2 poles, one on each side. These, we can't do that because of the way and the placement of where they're gonna be. They're gonna be out in the sidewalk and be directional. So when they tested the original pole without any base on it, it swang, and I think you all remember seeing the video of that.
Yeah.
Very similar, we also tested the same pole in a steel configuration, and it still waffled. So this base is keeping that from occurring. So that's the intent of it. I don't know that anyone has any great other options for you.
No,
think
I'm
we've
not sure I
been
was looking
looking
for
at it
another
for months.
option. I guess I was looking for where you were headed on your last sentence there.
I'm looking for, if you're gonna give a go-ahead, we're gonna go ahead, and as soon as he's done with the parking lot signs, we're gonna stick in the rest.
And that's when we're gonna know whether we've solved the problem or not.
Well, no, I mean, he's indicated that this will solve the problem, they don't have a problem, that's.
More or less the appearance is what we're trying to get
Right.
through.
Are
right
you
now.
happy enough
I don't
with
want
the
to put anything up
aesthetics?
that's not gonna work, and
No, I understand that, but we won't really know. And that was my question is whether, I guess we'll
One at
cross that
6.
bridge when we come to it, I guess.
We've stuck in the one with the 6-foot base, and those work. What we're talking about is taking not quite a little more than a foot off,
6
2
foot
inches.
recorder. What we did too, so you guys know, at the shop, we didn't actually make another tube and welded it, but we came up at that 4'8" and we secured it at that point, which the tube's gonna do, to see how much flex gonna be up there above it. And I think that it's amazing what 4'8" does to eliminate the sway and the twist. So,
I think they're happy with the testing of it.
yes.
The question really is, are you happy with the appearance of it?
I'm happy with the appearance. I think it looks great.
Director London?
I just want to make sure that we really have taken care of the sway factor.
Yes.
Director London?
Yeah, I was gonna say what he said. I think we're overthinking this. It's fine, it works, as long as it doesn't sway, I think we should just go forward.
And any
We're
sign
nickel.
moves in the wind.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna go, I mean, when we hit that before, it would go like this for almost a minute. It just kept going, so I think that's not gonna be an issue. And there's no safety issue whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think that was Jason's concern, was the inconsistency, that,
Yeah.
some of the, depending on how many blades you had, the thickness of the post varied, so this addresses that.
You said what I was
And
gonna
it's
say.
nice to keep it so it's uniform, so you can always add anytime. It's really changeable.
I guess the only thing I'd ask again, and ask everybody, because I don't know the answer at all to this, do we go with just the bolts, like, up at the top? Do we go with the bolts all the way down to the 8-inch tubing? Or do we go to the bolts all the way to the base? Those are all options, am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you want my opinion.
I'll take anyone's opinion. I want anyone's opinion but mine. How's that?
I think I would
Understand the
just-
pole itself has already been drilled. The original pole, they've already fabricated them.
Okay, so,
Those holes are there and whatever bolts are there.
okay, but time out, and I'll ask you this. Originally, the base pole was gonna go to 6 feet, so did you drill?
No,
Okay, so if the total pole is, which I can tell you right now, is whatever total pole, I can't read this, how many inches is that? 138 inches? So that's 11 feet, right, basically?
Something like that.
Sounds right.
11 and a half feet? Okay, so am I to believe that then the top 5.5 feet will have
Yes.
holes drilled?
yes. And I
Okay.
think that I would leave it off the 8-inch square because you're going from an angle that, and then you start putting the other heads on the 8-inch. I think I'd make the 8-inch stay clean.
You definitely
if
want
it's a
the 8 inch
base,
clean, I
and
think.
just come up with the nuts.
But do you want the balance, do you want that last 1 foot 4 inches with bolts on it?
I think as long as it's consistent from the top,
Yes.
a consistent gap
Okay.
to the thicker base, and then my personal opinion, I think it's fine.
So just so I understand, and
Yeah.
again, I'm cool with whatever you guys decide. So you want bolts to the end of the signs, basically, or and then you're gonna have like 1 foot 4 of the narrower channel without bolts, and then 4 foot 8 of the thicker channel without bolts.
The tubing will not have bolts.
Right, and there won't be bolts in, for lack of a better term, the neck.
Yes, there will.
It's already been constructed.
It's always been
Yeah.
that way. That's the way.
And that'll give us the opportunity to add signage too.
Right, and I'm fine with it, but I thought you said that.
This is where I probably threw you the loop. I shouldn't have probably showed you.
No, that's okay. No, I'm fine. But what I thought what you just said a second ago was that there were only bolts to that level, because this was basically, originally, we were talking, I'm confusing myself here.
Well, let's back up a minute. The original L-frame pole has holes in it that have already been drilled. They're already been fabricated
Okay,
for its length.
okay, so,
The bolts that are installed are only installed where the blades are going in to hold the blades in. Correct?
We've got bolts in the empty holes, just so they're there for spacers, but,
They're there for,
yeah.
but, so the pole's already done. There's nothing to go back, drill,
This is our.
refabricate.
all the way
So if you
down
forget
to
the
here.
blades, forget the blades,
Yep.
just look at a pole.
Yep,
Every pole is exactly the same. It has X amount of holes coming down with bolts in it. Same gap from the end of the
I
bolts
think we're
to
getting
the thicker
confused
base.
because that's not what it shows on this.
right,
Right.
right, the bolts aren't on,
Design, if I may, the initial design had the bolts going top to bottom.
okay.
I
So,
see what you mean, they just put holes.
yeah,
in
on the
strong.
on the schematic on the back, so just, and again, I apologize for being so slow, so the bolts will come all the way down to the tubing there. And they won't just be holes, the bolts will be filled in where there's not.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
which will be consistent with the other posts for
Gotcha.
the other signs.
Yep.
So again, if you're happy with it, my suggestion would be that you have a motion to revoke the December approval for that design and dollar amount, and then you pass a second motion to approve the revised design and the new dollar amount.
So two separate motions?
Correct. The last question I guess I would raise, just to make sure everybody's comfortable with it, is you've got 3 of these blade signs or directional signs that have 6 blades on them, with the lowest height being slightly over 6 feet. Primarily, those 3 are gonna have, as indicated on the one parking sign there, but it will have a height of 6 feet, 2 inches roughly, if I
6'3", 6'2", something like that.
just want to make sure everybody was comfortable with that height. Every other one would be at least 7 feet in height before you got to the bottom.
And you do have time to go look at the 6, because it's right down on Main. So if there's any concern, there's one up, that's the height. So, I
So-
mean,
The one at Main and Sixth?
Main and Sixth, yeah.
One up there already, so you can walk right under it, by it, if it's an issue.
If it becomes an issue, one can just be removed, right?
Right.
Absolutely. You could probably even add a parking up in one of the other arrows above it too.
I mean, there's other signs along Main Street there that are less than 6 foot.
Wanted to make sure you looked at it.
Yeah.
Because it is a little
Look
long.
at, yeah, exactly, where it says library, you could always put and the parking symbol too.
Yeah,
So if it does become an issue.
yeah.
All right,
Because
but
we
no,
had that
two
discussion in the
motions.
beginning concerning that.
I'll make a motion to rescind, back on, shoot, oh, we have to type my thing, back on,
December 21st.
December, yeah.
this, the 12,400, that we approved back on December 20th for the, revised directional sign poles.
Got a motion by Director Riley,
I'll second it.
second by Director London. Anybody want to discuss this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Then I'll make,
Thank you guys.
We got one more.
then I'll make a motion.
You're almost there.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the 17,800, as well as the $950, to go from the 6-inch tubing poles to the 8-inch tubing poles, and to change the 2 prototypes out.
We have a motion by Director Riley,
I'll support.
second by Director Sophia. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Now you're set.
But I do like the idea of eliminating that parking sign. Well, we don't need a lawsuit, someone drunk and.
Somebody's gonna run into it.
Yeah.
Jason?
Right,
Please
yeah.
go look at that, and if there's any issues, when we get ready in our final assembly, we can make changes. on it.
Yeah, I think that would be
And if you need any
proactive.
assistance with the site plan or where these are gonna be, you know, we can work on that, but
Riding a bike downtown? No.
Added under.
you guys have been great, thank you for your
Well,
patience.
thank you for your
with us,
patience,
and,
too.
Now we can move forward and let's get her done. All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Johnson. Thank you, James, also. Thank you.
I think that just went.
One thing I'll ask, when they go in the installation, do we have the group that's going to sort of hold their hands and watch them through the installation?
Well, I would think that the infrastructure committee would take a stroll through, all like we did prior to the installation. But,
Yeah, well, once
but
they're
James-
in, we'll do a walkthrough and walk around anything that's not correct, we'll correct.
But James has been really good too about, as these things
Yeah.
are going up, about sending out.
He has been, and we'll do another walkthrough like we did
Yeah.
Okay.
on the original one.
But again, if you get a chance and you walk under that one or that's up with 6 blades and you've got an issue, we'll cut it off right now.
I think that's very smart.
If it's at 6.2, I don't think we even have to go look, that's too low.
That's why I brought it up, but
Good point.
So,
Question?
Sure.
When we did a walkthrough with James, we, noted, many signs that we thought were obsolete and could go. Is that something that's in the works, or?
well, some of the signs that they're putting in or replacing, there's a list of signs that they're gonna take down.
Okay.
Others outside of that will have to get dealt with differently. Any of those that are up by a traffic control order or by a traffic control sign aren't gonna come down as part of this.
Okay.
Most of the ones that they'll be taken down are related to identification and things like that.
the 3 signs they said that had 6 blades, basically? 3 of them?
There's more than 3 of us.
And in every case, was there a parking sign involved?
Yeah, it's the same design. It's the same design that's on the back of your, it's basically this,
The one on the
just
left.
with different wording on the,
But what I'm saying is the 6th sign is always a parking sign.
yeah, a little narrower.
And so that if you take that away, it looks like each one is it 1'5"? Am I reading that right, or 1.5? Well, I can't tell if that's,
Well, frankly, what we might do is simply have them add it to the
8.5
sign
inches.
above, so.
It's Well, it's 8.5 inches plus the gap, so that'll take it to about close to 7 feet if you remove the parking sign.
Right.
Which, yeah,
Too many people walk around 7 feet.
they'll be fine at that point.
No basketball players.
That point.
All right.
So do we
Eliminate
let them
it.
know? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, well, we can have James, we can let James.
Well, if you wanna make a motion to have it eliminated, make one and it'll be a done issue.
I think,
Yeah, I think we should.
I agree with Lauren.
Okay.
I agree.
Then,
Just save, it's just a smart thing to do.
This isn't actually the spelling that they're using, is it?
No, because
What's that?
theaters were spelled wrong.
Because both of our theaters
Yeah,
use
I know.
RE.
Well, we already went through that once.
This is not the way they had it on the original stuff.
That
That was THEATHER.
that was a whole third
That's
version.
on there, that's on there.
Amtrak spelled wrong.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, yeah, there's some spell checks gotta occur.
And we know that, in all the instances, well, I don't know if you know this or not, but like in this case, you're lucky enough that you've got the library, so you can pop the little parking sign up there on the library. But on the others, like, in other words, if, one of them might be a situation where you don't have the room for it. And in that case,
Well, call us.
We'll see, but there's only
Yeah.
3.
that's what I thought, I thought it was.
There was only 3, so.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess if you want to make a motion to have those moved up, where applicable.
Yeah, I mean, do,
I would make the motion to limit the number of blades to 5 and be done.
Okay.
okay.
And then we're not putting in more than 5. That'll get you to the 7-foot height.
So moved.
Perfect.
All right. Who's that?
Second.
No. Okay, moved by Director Johnson, second by
Second.
Director Riley. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Nobody can read 6 anywhere when they're driving.
Okay. Number 4, expense items. And in front of you, I want to add to the monthly expenses is a invoice from Dyke McGossett for our financing contract. So we're going to add that to the list. And this is a piece, how about does the Kurt Russell Weber need to be, do we need to?
No, we already did
We
it.
already- Okay, so this particular piece, the Dykeman piece, would need a
Motion.
motion approval from us to be paid. Everything else is just for information.
Yeah, the ones on the monthly expenses that are handed out there are bills that have been paid. Any of those that needed approval prior, you gave approval at that point in time. And then during the month of January, those were paid. I received an invoice from Dykema yesterday. Rather than waiting a month, I made copies and passed it out. This is an invoice for the month of January. And Bowden Brown's work on the 2 Oak DDA city financing agreements regarding the 2 bonds. You'll note that the total invoice is some $19,689.20. Paying that, you will have spent $36,549 on those 2 agreements since October.
Would this be the final?
No.
There's probably some follow-up that's gonna occur this month, but
When do we meet?
31st was when you met and approved the agreements.
Okay.
There are some exhibits and
Okay.
things that gotta get attached to them, but, I'm assuming there'll be some small invoices in February.
Okay.
But hopefully that'll be the end of it. So yes, I need a motion on the 19,689.20 if you wanna approve it today. If not, you can review it and do it next month. Doesn't matter to me, so.
I'll move for payment of the invoice for $19,689.20
Motion
to
by-
Dykema.
Motion by Director Sophia,
I'll second it.
second by Director London. Any discussion or comments?
I do think, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
I do think you know, this was a wise decision on our part. We needed this help, through this very lengthy process, so, this was definitely, a good choice for us.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Under number 5, annual reports.
Both of these, the first one, the operating fund, is simply the report. The first column depicts, the first column with figures in it depicts the budget for fiscal year 16-17. The second column is an actual expenditures and revenue based on the city audit finance numbers from BSNA of what actually occurred through June 30th of 2017. There's no action necessary. I'm simply providing it to your information. I will put it in the paper as required by the statute and forward it to the various entities that are supposed to receive a copy of the annual report. You've got one for the operating fund as well as one for the development fund. I won't go through them. If you've got questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Just curious, what's the $5 expense, $5 revenue? The third thing. It's the revenue, $5.49.
Which one is operating?
It was the first one, the operation fund.
It's probably a contribution for something. Without going back and pulling it,
Maybe with Ferris wheel ride or something, I don't know.
Any other questions on any of these for Mr. Twing?
There's no action needed on
We're just at,
Just-
number 5, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Let's move on to, we're all good with that then? We'll move on to the, Tim's provided some preliminary budgets in number 6.
The first one again is your operating fund. That's the fund that is generated from the DDA millage levy on properties in the downtown. And this is the portion that's not captured by the development fund. This is the portion on the base year value. What you'll see here is a report or a spreadsheet that follows the city submission format with the account number, a brief description of the line item, the approved 2017-18 budget, an estimate on my part of where things will be at the end of this fiscal year or June 30th, 2018. And then the last column, I had to submit numbers by last Friday to the finance department for preliminary basis, and so I've included figures here for under the operating fund based on past trends. Some of the numbers are generated by finance, most of the ones in terms of wages and benefits and things related to staffing are generated from finance based on their estimated costs, so I do not enter those figures. But your operating fund is pretty consistent. The only, or the largest item here other than wages is $11,000 for miscellaneous contracts, which are your CBD pest control for rodents and then the Star Dream sculpture maintenance. I'm not looking for an approval today. You've got a planning session scheduled for Saturday. I just wanted to get you some numbers and so you can see what's out there. The second one is the development fund. Gets set up again under this, set up in the same fashion. Again with the individual account line item number, brief description, the approved fiscal year 17-18 budget, an estimate of activity that will occur by the end of the fiscal year, and then my estimate of 2018-19, as well as figures from finance again regarding various wages and benefits. What I have included in here are miscellaneous contracts that you currently have, assuming they continue with worry-free for downtown maintenance, the holiday lights with English Gardens, so I've allocated dollars for those. I've also allocated funds for the Arts, Beats, and Eats commitment. I've included numbers for continuous of the promotions events on a basis that you've followed in the past. You'll probably see the biggest item is the transfer. The general fund has changed from $540,000 during the current fiscal year to $1,277,000. That is assuming that the Civic Center project goes forward and that your approved agreements for the additional $737,000 would start next fiscal year. The next line item under transfer to auto parking has gone down from 803 to 580. Again, that's based on those agreements and
Lafayette.
and being let out of the South Lafayette payment in next fiscal year. So this has been adjusted based on those agreements going forward. What I have not included is any capital outlay, capital projects that you may want to discuss or may come forward as part of your planning session on Saturday or out of the committee. You will see, based on the estimated revenue of a little over 3.5 million, there's expenditures of slightly over 3 million. You have a potential fund balance next fiscal year of 480,810. Based on a potential fund balance out of this current fiscal year, that'll be higher. You'll have more to allocate. But what I have not included in the estimate of at the end of this fiscal year is I haven't included the final payment for the wayfinding. I haven't included some other things. So that ending fund balance at or the fund balance for the current fiscal year will go down because of your current commitments to some capital projects, the wayfinding. I think there's still some streetscape stuff, but I don't have those final numbers yet, so.
What about the Dykema invoices? Are there still?
Dykema is gonna have to get adjusted in here again, because you'll see that I've actually got to do a budget adjustment. I didn't have the invoice yesterday when I put this together last week, so.
Okay. Couple of real quick questions. Tim, this doesn't, I'm assuming that on the revenue line, for next fiscal year, there's nothing in there for Etkin, Trailhead, or Sing.
No,
Is that correct?
there's not.
Okay,
There's no land sale proceeds.
right.
I would anticipate we'll know that in the next March or April with Sing, I hope.
Okay. And just wondering, for the main top line, for increase from last year, like with the assessments, what did you jump up about 2%? Is that about?
I didn't move it at all.
You didn't move it at all.
No, you'll see it's consistent right across at 3.45. I didn't move it at all yet.
Okay.
Obviously, that it'll move some with the hotel project going on at 400 North Main. You'll have to include a line item there to start reimbursing them.
Right.
80/20.
Right.
I haven't included that yet. Again, that's why I made these as preliminary based on
Okay.
what I had at the time. You'll also have the Etkin office building that'll come online to some extent.
I would think by the end of the,
Should be.
by the end of the fiscal year.
Well, the big issue is it done and on the rolls by December 31st of the year? If it's 100% done and on the rolls, then you'll realize the total increase. I would anticipate both of those would be.
Yep.
I'm hearing the hotel is trying to open in September. I think you had a meeting with them too the other day, so. So if it's done, it'll be.
On Main Street.
And Etkin, what was the latest we've heard on Etkin? I mean, and
They're moving people in.
He told me he's hoping to start moving people in May.
wow, I would have thought the winter would have pushed them back further than that.
Well, that was a month and a half ago.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's, winter's been.
So no, I haven't included any of those yet. Again, I think there's some things you'll probably discuss a little bit either on Saturday or at your committee level that'll adjust what you want to do with some of this stuff. But I wanted to get you some numbers, so.
Nope,
Again, no action today.
Anybody else with anything? Seeing none, let's move on to number 7, the Detroit Zoo parking requests for Bunnyville.
I did get a request, I think you saw a copy of it from the zoo. They would like to use the 696 property from March 30th and 31st for Bunnyville, if they need it. They asked if the DDA would consider signing the 2-day agreement. So I modified your prior agreement to address just those 2 days. If you're inclined to approve it, ask for a motion to approve the agreement and authorize me to sign it.
Dr. Spia?
Just want to ask Mr. Johnson if he sees any reason not to approve this?
The only concern I would have, probably shouldn't be an issue, but that's depending on weather, whether we might have snow piled up there still. Probably mostly melted right now, but
You never know.
Well, that's kind of their risk, isn't it?
Yeah.
as long as they understand that.
Okay, but other than that, you don't, there's no other outstanding issues or anything that,
No, I don't think so. It's not gonna interfere with the Sing project.
right?
It's revenue.
Pay for those signposts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's nice they asked us again.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the, is there a the resolution is in, no, that's the old one. Or is that the same one you're using?
Yeah, he just tailored it for this request.
Okay. I'll, make a motion to approve the resolution.
We got a motion by Director Safaya,
I'll second it.
second by Director London. Do we have any discussion? Seeing that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? No. All right.
Get 5.
Yeah, you got 5. Number 8, commercial space, 212 South Center Street parking deck. Maybe.
I guess I added this back to the agenda for, oops. Why would that come up? There we go. This was discussed at the end of your last regular DDA meeting as a work session in terms of potential use of the commercial space, a little over 5,000 square feet in the ground floor of the parking deck. Since that work session, there's been some more discussion about potential uses and coordination. Since there was no vote as part of the work session, it was general discussion. I wanted to bring it back and see if the board had changed its mind, if there were other items you wanted to include. What I also included was a draft letter based on the work session to go to the city commission as a recommendation. So what I was looking for was either confirmation of the discussion that occurred in the work session that you want to add to it, and then a formal vote as far as what your recommendation would be to the city commission at this point in time. Since the last part of it was, again, a work session, you took no formal action. It was, and I drafted the letter based on my notes, but I know there's been more discussion.
Sean, you were gonna talk to like the chamber and to different people, and I think, just reading ahead, I looked through your, manager monthly, notes. You had mentioned maybe having a little bit more discussion on it at the, strategic session. I mean, do we want, I would think we'd wanna have that discussion before we do any action. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas that have been tossed around. I've met with the chamber already. I'm going to be meeting with a representative from the chamber again, I believe this Friday, along with a representative from the farmers market too, to address a lot of their ideas that they wanted to share.
So, I mean, at this point,
Well, it's up to you, because this would just say that, this is just telling the city commission we'd like to do this, and they would okay us developing a concept, so it's not obligating us to do anything.
so we're just saying we wanna do something,
Yeah, correct?
or do we need to have it defined?
Well, I'm gonna go twofold on it. The Saturday item, again, is another work session where you can't vote.
Correct.
So if you want to delay the recommendation to your March meeting, then you could hold over this discussion till Saturday and have a little more discussion there. Again, Saturday, as I read the understanding, was to be a planning and goal-setting session, not a session where you're getting into the weeds.
Okay.
There's a lot of broad topics that I think that you're gonna wanna touch on Saturday, but I don't think you're gonna wanna get in the weeds unless you're gonna be there for 8-9 hours, which
Right.
I don't think was the intent of it.
No. All right,
So what I was looking for was, if you want this recommendation to go forward in short order, some action today in a formal setting, if you're comfortable with it. If you want more time, don't do anything today, discuss it Saturday and more. We'll
Well, we see
work
this-
it,
If we get this
but
in
then you'll
front
vote on it in
If we get this
March.
in front of the city commission, then at least we get their temperature on it, and if they're against it, then there's no sense in us pursuing it.
and I'm sorry, I didn't read the motions. The motion pretty
General.
general.
Yeah, doesn't constrict us to anything.
I'd prefer to wait until we've developed something specific to propose to the city commission.
And I was gonna say, some of the players, I mean, you definitely want Director Baglio and
Well,
Director Krieger
isn't
involved in
proceeding
this.
to develop a concept, isn't that kind of the same thing?
Well, I was thinking in terms of actually presenting them with a specific proposal that would resolve a lot of issues in regards to it.
Well, and I guess if Sean has still got meetings set up with the chamber and with the farmer's market, I mean, we're still basically, for lack of a better term, information gathering or idea gathering, right? I mean,
I just want to make sure we don't do a bunch of work, then have the city commission say no. That's all I'm saying. And this just seems to say, proceed with developing a concept, which I think is what we're talking about, right? I mean, it's up to you guys,
well,
I'm
there's
not looking
there's
at-
also the chance that they could just bounce it and say, well, we want something with more detail.
They might. It's up to you guys, I looked at it as more of a general approach as opposed to almost like floating it out there to see.
I guess I should look at that.
That's fine. We can, like Tim said, I don't think we want to get into this in detail on Saturday. This would probably go back to the Business Marketing Committee.
Right.
Well, again, based on the work session that occurred previously, you had some thoughts of how to use the space. if the commission was on board with how you were as a DDA looking to use the space, I think your next action was going to hire an architect or professional to actually work with people to design the space and then present that to the commission.
If
But
we-
if that's not where you wanted to go and you want to wait and come up with something more detailed, that's fine too. I just,
If we were to go with this resolution here, and who would present it to the commission, or would it just be put out there?
Just be on our agenda.
well, the letter would come, if you act on it as a board, it's going to come from me through Don to the commission, as this is the recommendation of the board. If you want to, again, I don't think there's any rush. If you want to wait, talk a little bit more about it on Saturday, get some more input from who Sean has met with about what they think the space should be. But I don't think you want to send something to the commission that you haven't provided a recommendation, meaning you haven't voted on it.
Right.
I think you want to be clear in what your direction is, not just a synopsis.
Yeah.
And Don,
Given that you hadn't voted, I thought I'd bring it back here.
you'd like to wait, just, you'd like to see some more specific.
I'd like to wait to work out some of the details of what we want to propose to the commission.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I'm for two reasons. One, I think that we should have an idea of what we're doing. And two, I'm putting myself in their shoes, and we just got to get something general up there. I mean, how would we react to something general? We'd ask a million, what about this? What about this? What about this?
Well, we'll
We don't
just
have any
delay
answers.
this, because I think there was a perception this should have gone to the commission from the work session, but
Well-
we'll delay this until after probably your March meeting.
Okay. So we'll put it back on. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that's fine. I think if some generic goals are set for that space at the strategy session that are kind of overarching, that just kind of create some parameters, after meeting with those people and working with representatives from the city, we can probably put together a solid, even kind of quasi-business plan for the DDA to review, approve, and then take that to the commission with the blessing.
Yeah, and I think we should make some, not necessarily deadlines, but at least some chronology of timing, so we know, so we're not delaying this thing too long. I mean, especially now that the structure's open. So maybe by the end of the day, Saturday, we kind of know, okay, here's what's going on. You're gonna be having these meetings with this, and then we're gonna, whether it comes to the BMC or whatever, that on March, we can bring something back. Make
Sure.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
March is also when I'm anticipating a report back from Rich on
Okay,
parking
I was
stuff.
gonna ask about that.
I haven't talked to him, but I am hoping they're done with it by then.
Okay, so on to number 9, committee updates. There you go. So, I would hope that we would have at least an infrastructure meeting, because there's a number of items I think that need to be discussed in March.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Not limited to the wayfinding,
No.
so. Okay. All right. Unless anybody else on any of the committees has anything they want to bring forward. I see nothing, okay, so we're gonna move on to Sean, number 10.
Okay. Well, first off, I just want to let the board know that April is Autism Awareness Month. I was contacted by city staff who have been working with the Judson Center and invited to basically kind of partake in the discussions of their plans for Autism Awareness Month. They're planning a small event on April 2nd, which is a Monday, to decorate portions of the downtown with blue lights. The Judson Center has a contract with English Gardens, and they've been going through their own private funding sources to explore doing something like that. They've asked me to help connect them to several downtown business owners and other organizations that might want to assist with them, such as the Restaurant Association and some of the business owners on 5th Street as well. So I can provide more information on that as that develops too in my next report. Just a reminder too, on March 2nd, which is a Friday, Downtown Royal Oak is hosting the Oakland County Planners Gathering. That's going to be held at Mesa. That's going to be at 11:30 on March 2nd. So I'm going to kind of be co-hosting a presentation with the assistant to the city manager, James Krizan, and the chair of the Arts Commission, Jason Gittinger, to talk about art in downtown Royal Oak, mostly talking about placemaking and public art initiatives that have taken place so far. To go over some of the new businesses that have opened so far, on February 5th, Freshie opened on Main Street. That was a really popular opening. It got a lot of news coverage as well. And we also had another business on 4th Street open up in place of the Deadstock Detroit location. So we had a ribbon cutting for that. I was joined by Todd Fenton, Carol Schwanger from the city manager's office, Shelley Kemp from the chamber, and then we also had Greg Doyle from Oakland County to read a proclamation as well. So that was also well attended, and we got a lot of really good photo ops and some press coverage out of that as well. I've been continuing the downtown stakeholder meetings. It's been growing. We're now getting property owners and a lot more retail. Stagecrafters is also being pretty well represented at those meetings too. So it's becoming more diverse, not just restaurants. It's also becoming larger. More people are becoming aware of it. I've been creating agendas and summaries that I've been sending out for those meetings as well. Just a quick overview of our last meeting we held at the library. I encouraged the property owners and the business owners to take care of the sidewalks outside of their storefronts. As we've been having snow get dumped on the downtown and then it melts, whenever there's a big melting period, we find that there's a lot of trash and debris that's in the downtown. So I tried to make the business owners aware of that and if they could assist in helping to maintain the front of their storefronts. And I know that Worry Free has also been providing some cleanup services. I think they're limited to 40 hours a year though. Today I contacted MDOT, who put me in touch with CN about the condition of the railway right-of-way. I noticed there at the crossing there at 5th Street, there's a lot of garbage and debris that's kind of piling up inside the railroad tracks right-of-way, and there's also some safety signage that was removed.
They'll get right back with you.
Actually, I was really surprised. I got a pretty quick response on that. So
Well, you've got some magic then.
yeah, so it only took like 4 phone calls, but no, they were really pretty prompt in their response.
The action you want too.
Yeah, so I was really pleased to see how quick they were to respond. I also put a call into DPS. Some of the bollards that are in the promenade there at 5th Street near the 5th and Stagecrafters were knocked over and were kind of blocking some of the pedestrian walkways. So I took some pictures and sent it over to DPS. So that should be taken care of. Should have been taken care of this afternoon. So I was going to check tomorrow morning to see if that has been cleaned up. It was just a safety hazard, I felt. So our application with the Main Street program is still pending. So I got all the application materials in. The check for the National Center had been submitted to finance, so it should be ready early next week for me to mail out. Also, the Main Street National Conference is in Kansas City, Missouri, and that's March 26th to 28th, and I was hoping to attend that. Also, the county's Main Street program has their annual awards at the Flagstar Strand Theater in Pontiac, and that's May 10th. So it's for basically everybody who was members in 2017 submitting for that, so we don't qualify for those, but I think it's definitely a good event to attend to see what other communities are doing, and I always find those events kind of inspiring too. Some of my routine activities has been to keep our databases up to date. So I've been going through and updating our vacancy list. I've been updating a lot of the new businesses that have come in and a lot of the old businesses that have come out. I've updated a lot of the old contact information as some of the businesses have had some staff turnover. So that work is continuing. I'm also trying to keep track of square footage. I've begun trying to keep track of what everybody is paying per square foot in rent, just so I can get better at creating a mathematical model of downtown as accurate as I can. It definitely comes in handy when we're talking about projects and policies that we want to enact. And then lastly, I think we've already covered this, but reserving some time just to talk about some goals for the retail space. this Saturday.
Anybody with any questions for Sean?
Actually, Tim, did we reserve a space for Saturday?
Yeah, it's in the police conference room. I'll do the agenda tomorrow.
Right back here?
And, yeah, if you go in the main entrance and go up to the second floor.
Where'd you say it was?
Police.
Okay, where we had it, like 2 or 3
Yeah.
days ago. And 9:30, correct?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. I thought it was 10 o'clock.
How do I have 9:30? I have 9:30 in my calendar.
My God.
Doesn't matter to me, but.
No, that's fine. But.
We'll send a car for you.
No, what did we have? I'm just asking.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock.
So it's been 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
You're sure?
Yes.
I'm doing the agenda tomorrow based on 9 o'clock.
I'm good with 9, I'm just wondering why I have 9:30 in my handwritten calendar.
Thank you very
It's
much.
never
This is
wrong.
very,
Yeah, we
very
had
thorough.
9:30. I don't know what that.
Didn't you have 9:30?
Yeah.
See?
Before, let's finish with Sean. Thank you very much, very thorough. Do we need to take any action if he wanted to attend that conference? Do we have money budgeted to?
Well, we're gonna have to amend the budget,
I wasn't here that
but
day when you made a meeting.
we used to send people to it when we were a member of Main Street. So I didn't think there was really a problem with it, but no, you don't.
Okay.
Other than making sure you've got enough in the budget to cover it, I don't.
Yeah, and the county will pay for the registration for the conference itself. And there's the discount rate that they have for the hotel. I think it's just travel
I'm good with that.
mileage.
I thought it was 10 o'clock, really.
All right, well, thank you very much. Very thorough report. Does anybody have anything else? No? See everybody at 8:30 Saturday morning?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by
Second
Director
it.
Safaya, second by Director London. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.